job, I've decided to do the program 5 days a week, 1 hour a night, taking a significant pay cut. So I've started a Patreon page, which is Patreon, Patreon/SportsScope, spelled the same way at the bottom of the screen you see there. For $5 a month, 17 cents a day, you can help support the program. You ask yourself, why SportsScope? Well, I bring in such big names such as Al Borges, former Auburn offensive coordinator, and I cover the big news in sports that the corporate media will not cover. If you want to contribute more than $5 a month, you can go use the Cash App. The cash tag is SportsScope, again, spelled the same way. Or you can go to the Zelle app, sportscope@gmail.com. SportsScope has about 5,000 followers and growing. If you want to advertise on the program, you can email me. The word is SportsScope, spelled the same way again, @gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy the program. Okay, everybody, now we're here live here on All Links on this Tuesday, September 20th. I tell you, it goes by quick once we get into the football season. It seems like it was just Labor Day just a few days ago, and actually that was 3 weeks ago. Going to talk about today the last night's game, what the Tennessee Titans possibly should think about doing going forward if this roster and losing streak stands the way it is. Talk a little bit about Jacksonville, the Philadelphia Eagles. But first, as I missed last week, but we got him on this week, want to talk about the Cowboys. Big win yesterday or Sunday. Little transition there at quarterback because of an injury. Without needing any more announcement, we're going to bring in former Dallas Cowboy player and coach, Jim Jeffcoat. Now, you played, Jim, from 83 till 94 for the Cowboys, right?
Yes. And then I went to Buffalo for 3 years.
For 3 years. Now, on as a coach for Dallas, you coached from 98 to 2004. Now, that's what your Wikipedia says.
Yes, I did. I coached D-line for him. As soon as I coached, I was there in 94, 95. Obviously, I went to Buffalo. And as soon as I finished in Buffalo, immediately they hired me as a defensive line coach at Dallas.
At Dallas. Okay. By the way, really appreciate you coming on tonight, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And just like Robert said, everybody needs to contribute because Robert is one of the hardest working men in the media.
Hey, man, I didn't pay him to say that. I don't have enough money to afford you. It'll come back to you, buddy. Hey, now, what I wanted to ask you last week, let's go back, not Sunday. Let's go back to Sunday before that. I actually felt sorry for the Dallas Cowboys. You hear guys like Stephen A. Smith just pummel this team. And the air kind of went out of my balloon as well because I picked Dallas to win the division. As a player, when something like a Dak Prescott, a player like that goes down, how do you handle that? What are the conversations in the locker room, say, if someone like a Dak Prescott, a starting quarterback, goes down?
Well, Robert, if you remember, you might be too young to remember, when we were winning Super Bowls, Troy Aikman was injured. And Steve Berline stepped in, and then we had Rodney Peete step in, and then we had Jason Garrett step in. We always had somebody step in, but the thing is that's a part of being in professional football. There are going to be injuries. There are going to be people out. The rest of the team has to step up.
Okay, so what do you so the conversations is that it's not like our season's over with. What are we going to do? Let's make off-season plans. None of that stuff.
No, not this early in the season. There's been times we lost one of the our best offensive lineman, in Mark Stepnowski, who also played for Tennessee. And he was lost for the season. And we brought in a gentleman called Derek Kennard, and he just picked it up in a Frank Cornish. Yeah. Hey, Pickles, my man, Pickles is here. Thank you, Corey. But But that's the thing that happens is there are always going to be things going on. There's always going to be adversity. But how you choose to react to the diversity is going to help you become a better team. This is probably, I hate to say it, this is good for the Cowboys because they'll know how to deal with adversity. There's going to be more adversity. There's 15 more games to go. And you have to, hey, you talk about the Tennessee Titans. Our second year after we had won the Super Bowl, we were 0-2 and came back and won another Super Bowl. So it's how you deal with adversity.
How do you deal with that as a coach? What do you tell the team? You're a defensive line coach. Say if you lose a big time player, how do you talk to these players? Because they're probably deflated, some of them.
They are deflated, but I lost a big time player in Greg Ellis, who he was a top 5 pick for me, and he tore his Achilles, and I had to start a undrafted free agent named Demetric Evans. Yeah. And it's my responsibility to get him prepared to play. And that's what I had to do. And he played well. And another one I drafted in the 4th round, Pepe Zellner. I rotated him. I kept him fresh. I made sure they understood the game plan. That's my responsibility. And the coach's responsibility is to always motivate the young men that are under him. And the head coach's responsibility is to make them believe they can accomplish what they need to do.
Oh, man. Hey, let me ask you about this. Okay, now you said something a couple of weeks ago. Actually, let me backtrack a little bit. So the defense, a little observation. It was a big win Sunday, by the way. I could see you were pretty excited. I saw you put a little Dallas Cowboy thing on Instagram the other day.
Yeah, I was at the game. I worked the games for the Cowboys.
So what do you do? What'd you do for the Cowboys?
I go to the suites and shake hands, kiss babies, take pictures. I'm like a politician, I guess, and I never wanted to be a politician.
Oh, man. So let me ask you this then. You said something a few weeks ago about Jerry Jones really taking a back seat, and Steven, the son Steven, he's doing the day-to-day operations. If Steven insisted, anything that you have witnessed or any players, if he insisted on making a certain personnel move over Dad Jerry, do you think Steven will win that out?
I think at this point, Steven is more in the front because he is the face of the Cowboys, because Jerry obviously is 80 years old.
Yeah.
He's moving it away from day-to-day operations, and Steven is moving more in the day. In Charlotte, Jerry Jones Jr., those guys are really starting to run the team. And Jerry is still the face of the Cowboys, and as long as he lives, he always will be the face. But they're doing the grunt work. They're looking at the rosters and things of that nature and preparing the salary cap, looking at those things. And it's a different – Jerry is very charismatic. Yeah. And he always he does things off a gut feeling, like when he purchased the Cowboys. It was a gut feeling.
Yeah. I was thinking about that, man. So I look at paying a guy like Zeke Elliott. He's $18 million. That's the most highest in a running back in the NFL. You remember about 3 years ago, he held out in training camp when he had 2 years left on his contract. Do you think that was type of a Jerry Jones type of move? Because somebody like that probably sells a lot of tickets. He was a top 10 pick that year.
Yes, he was.
As a free agent or as a draft pick.
And he was at the peak of his career. But the one thing you got to know about running backs is there are certain running backs that have a longer shelf life, but the majority of them don't have a long shelf life, especially the bigger guys that take a lot of punishment. They don't play very long because of the pounding they take at that position. And you're seeing it around the NFL with certain backs now.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that was more of was that a Jerry move essentially, or was that a Steven move essentially?
I think it was more of a Jerry, because
that's what I thought.
I think it was more I thought it was more of Jerry, and the reason I say that is because he likes that kind of stuff. He likes to make them work to get contracts, but he also knows that Zeke was selling tickets for him when he was at the top of his game.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, I kind of figured that. Another observation, Jim, from last week. Now, defense had 2 sacks, tackles for loss. They're 6th in yards, 9th in points. There's a stat. Check out this stat here. I got this from CBS. Let me see if I can find it. I've got so many notes in here. Michael Parsons in the NFL rank, he's first in sacks. He's first in quarterback hits. He's first in tackles for loss. He's 13th in pressures. Do you see this team being more as a defensive team now this year instead of an offensive team?
They're going to have to be. They're going to have to with the things that are going on offense. You got the offensive line. You still have some inexperience in there. Tyler Smith is actually playing really well for a rookie, but they're going to have to do. The defense is going to have to make plays, especially in their game they're coming up with New York. They're going to be in games. And if you remember against Tampa, people don't realize they held Tampa to 4 field goals.
Yeah.
And Tampa only scored 1 touchdown. That's pretty impressive on a Tampa team. I know Tampa beat them 19-3, but it's still pretty impressive that they can do that with a Tom Brady-led team. And they had all their receivers at that time.
Well, now we find out that the Tampa Bay defense, as of right now, is the best in the league at 6.5 points a game.
Yeah. I don't know, and maybe who they're playing too. We're playing offenses that are struggling because right now the best defense in the league might be Buffalo.
Is Buffalo?
Yeah.
With that pass rush?
Oh, my goodness. And just what they do and the havoc they create is pretty impressive. And I'm not taking anything away from Tampa, but the explosive. A lot of times, if you have a really good defense, obviously, but if you have an offense like Buffalo, that's a heck of a combination.
Yeah. I want to say they beat Tennessee was a 1 seed. Obviously, the Rams
won the Super Bowl, yes.
72-17. What are your thoughts about this Buffalo team? How do you stay focused? You played on Super Bowl team. How do you stay focused when you get off that kind of start and not get complacent?
Well, the thing is they didn't win the Super Bowl. And that's the thing you got to realize. And they know that. They know with all the success they had, they still didn't get to the championship game.
Yeah.
So that keeps them focused. They know that because they got off to a fast start, that doesn't mean they're going to stay. They're going to find out a lot about themselves this week because that Miami team, they're shocking in what they can do to you. This is going to be a heck of a game. And they haven't faced anybody like Josh Allen and Diggs and guys like that. But then on the same thing, Buffalo has to challenge Tyreek Hill and Waddle. And that's going to be a good game.
Yeah, my deal about that Miami team is I predicted that they would play really well in September. You got 2 of the fast, like 400-meter guys in Waddle and Tyreek Hill. You got a new head coach, all these fancy offensive schemes coming in that nobody's really seen with this group. But then you got a guy like Tua who has a problem getting away sometimes when the pressure comes in. He was hurt in college, Jim. He was hurt his first year last year.
Yes.
He kind of reminds me of a Sam Bradford. Remember Sam Bradford? That's my only concern about them. What's your thoughts on Tua?
Can he stay healthy? But at this point, he's staying pretty healthy, and he's throwing the ball well.
Yeah.
He's throwing the ball. I've never been really big on Alabama quarterbacks, but this group of Alabama quarterbacks are in the league right now. They're playing well.
That is true. Someone put a picture out, Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts. That leads me into the other question, Jim. You recruited Jalen Hurts out of Colorado. The Eagles, I hate to admit this with Jamie on the Northeast Street family. He's going to be on tomorrow, Jim. They have the number one offense in the league, like what they did with the secondary. What are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts, you recruited him in college. How far can he take this team from what you've seen up till today, Jim?
Well, Jalen Hurts' dad was a longtime high school coach at Chandler View High School in Houston. And he's since he's been a little kid, he's been around football. And then he's been in meetings. And like I said, he's a coach's son. And he understands the game, and he knows how to work. His dad was a hard worker. Jalen was a hard worker. You'd see Jalen running around. And he was at high school practices, throwing the ball, watching how teams responded to quarterbacks. And he learned a lot before he even got to high school.
Man. So, okay, you say I know that Kyler Murray's out of Texas too. You seem like you're not a big Kyler Murray guy. So do you like Hurts over Kyler Murray?
I like him, and the reason is because Jalen brings teams together. He's that kind of guy. Jalen is a team guy, and that's why he has so much success. It's never about Jalen. Like I said, his coach, his dad was like that. He brought that whole team together, and Jalen does the same thing, and that's why they're having so much success. I'm a big Hurts fan, and I always have been. I'm not a big Philly fan, but I'm a Hurts fan.
Kyler, what about Kyler?
He's more of a me guy.
Okay.
He's got a lot of talent, and nobody's ever going to question his talent. And what he did last week against Las Vegas shows you what kind of talent he has.
Yeah.
So that's it. You see that all the time with his talent, but he's more of a me guy. It's all about him. It's not about the people around him.
So do you think that Philly can win a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts?
Yes. There's Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, Flacco he can make those second reads. Now Flacco had work ethic issues after he got his contract, from what I've read.
Yeah, Trent Dilfer, and you've seen quarterbacks with less
that kind of defense.
Yeah. And less talent than Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a theory. Okay, Cooper Rush. Go back to the Cowboys for a second. He's 2-0 as a starter. Won last year against Minnesota. Team really played well around him the other day. His stats are above average. I think he's got like a 95 rating, something of that nature. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Think about this for a second. If Cooper Rush, they play the Rams in a few weeks, they play the Eagles. If they stay undefeated, once Dak, now here's some subtext to Dak Prescott for the audience. Dak is, I want to say, 1-3 in the playoffs. Lost to the 49ers last year. Lost to the Raiders. Would you keep Cooper Rush in the hot hand? Now, Dak's already been paid. Would you chance that, Jim?
No. That happened I'm going to tell you the truth. That happened with Troy Aikman when Berline in 91, when Berline was playing well.
Okay.
But that is their quarterback. It's not going to chance that. He keeps the train moving, but that is the engineer. He just took a little bit of time.
Ryan says hard no. I like to do a little Colin Cowherd, Michael Greenberg, play a little devil's advocate. Jim, I can't let you go. I got one more really good question here.
Yes.
You went to Arizona State, right?
Yes.
Herm Edwards. I love Herm Edwards, by the way. I know he's 68. I'm always been a Herm Edwards fan. You play to win the game. What's your thoughts on Herm Edwards being fired from Arizona State?
Well, you got to remember what he did, and he let go on. First of all, I was upset because he let Antonio Pierce come in, a U of A, University of Arizona guy, and come in and destroy. Basically, he destroyed that program. He was doing illegal stuff, and that bothered me. Why would you let somebody from the rival school, and they're only 100 miles apart, and they are intense rivals, take over your program and do the things that Antonio Pierce did? Antonio Pierce is at the Raiders, Raiders right now, and you saw what happened to the Raiders. You
Yeah.
saw what they did. They were up 21 points and lost the game. He was the
Imploded.
linebacker coach. Yeah, they imploded. He did that at Arizona State. Everybody talks about he recruited, but he recruited illegally.
Yeah.
He recruited illegally. I mean, he did. Arizona and Herm let this go on. You can't be in the dark about what was going on.
Yeah.
He just turned, he turned the other eye and he let this go on. And it's going to bother me because he didn't do it the right way.
Herm so you were a recruiter. How much are aware as a former coach there of those type of rules?
Every coach should be aware of them. When you become a college coach, you have to take an NCAA test. So you know the rules.
Okay.
And every coach has to take that test before they're qualified to go on the road, and you have to pass the test. Yeah. So they know the rules. So don't give me that ad. I wasn't aware of them. It was during COVID. They were bringing kids in and during the COVID pandemic, and it was the NCAA said we can't do that. And they obviously expressed that to every coach and every team.
So you're saying Herm Edwards knew that?
Yes, he did.
Willfully and deliberately.
Yes.
Try to get around the rules.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
To this day, I believe
who would you like to see him hired? If you had your
I'll tell you, I like a guy named Eric Morris, and Eric Morris is at Washington State. He was at Incarnate Word. He started that program and took him from Division II to Division I and had a lot of success. He was at Washington State with Mike Leach. He played for Texas Tech with Mike Leach. He was our GA at the University of Houston. This guy is amazing. He's one. And everybody's saying Deion Sanders would be incredible at Arizona State. And the reason is, first of all, he can recruit.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. He can recruit. And I used to, when I was recruiting Texas, Deion would bring kids anywhere to get them seen. And he was great with the kids. People don't realize they see the prime time, but that's not prime time when he's coaching. He's Deion. And he really, truly loves the kids. And the kids love playing for him. He took the #1 corner in the nation. And people thought he did something illegal. If you know Deion and his personality, you know why that kid went there.
Oh, was it I thought it was a defensive tackle that went to Florida State.
No, it was a cornerback.
Wow.
And then those
maybe it was a tackle too, Jim.
Yeah, it could be. And he did take some kids from high D1 programs, and they came to play for him. If you know Deion and you get away from the prime time and just see him and talk to him, you'd be really impressed. I'll tell you a quick story about him.
Hey, man, I got plenty of time. Long as you ain't,
When I was coaching at the Cowboys, Deion was playing corner for us.
Yeah.
And he come in, and we go out and meet and everything. Yeah. And it'd be we usually in the office from 5 o'clock till 12 every day.
5 to midnight.
Yep. And Deion would be there at 5 studying the offenses and the wide receivers that he's going to play. And he would always say, roll the coverage away from me. I got this side. You just take care of the other side.
Yeah.
I'll take care of this side. Because he understood. He knew more about the game. And he was a great student of the game. People think because of his vast talent, which he was, he's extremely talented, but he studied the game and he knows the game. He had success on the high school ranks in Texas. He's having success at Jackson State. And in a D1 program with his personality, he'd be really good with any D1 program.
Do you think he's bucking for that job, or you think maybe he's wanting to do the HBCU for a while?
Well, the thing is his 2 sons are there, and I would think that he would wait till his sons graduate. And he has a daughter that is actually just took a basketball scholarship there. There would have to be some kind of deals where he could get them to follow him because he is close to his children.
Nice. So, would you ever take another job coaching? Have you got it? Because I noticed you coach with the USF, not USFL.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm enjoying what I'm doing now. I work in insurance, and I've done that before in the insurance industry, and it's
Okay.
less stressful than coaching
Yeah.
because I get too much into it. I'm there early in the morning. I don't leave till late at night, and I'm
Yeah.
getting a little older. That's to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. How's your son doing?
He's doing good. He's got a little bit of a injury, but he'll be all right. He'll be ready by the playoffs, and he'll be
Okay.
in. Hopefully, they'll do well. They've won 2 Grey Cups,
Okay.
and he has the opportunity to win 3 in a row, which is always an accomplishment.
And that's he plays for Canadian Football League.
Yes, he plays
Is
for
he
the
going to
Winnipeg
consider
Football
doing
Club.
coaching?
No. He's too smart for that. He's been around that for too long. He's in the off season, he works in commercial real estate for one of my ex-teammates, Chad Hennings. He works for his company.
Oh, okay.
And he likes that big money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to keep in mind of that situation there with Arizona. You know, that
Arizona State. Never
yeah.
say Arizona to an Arizona State grad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me ask you. You said you knew Barry Bonds. How well did you know Bonds at Arizona
Knew
State?
Barry Bonds really well. Barry was at Arizona State when I was there, and he was younger, but he always hung around with the football team because the baseball players didn't like him. So he always hung around with us. He used to ride. I'll never forget. He used to have a black Trans Am.
Yeah.
He used to ride there, and he'd always hang out with us. And he didn't bother us.
Yeah.
He didn't bother
well, y'all
us.
too big. You kick his butt.
No, yeah, he was only 180 pounds back then.
Hey, Jim, so did you know that Bonds was going to be Bonds at Arizona State?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He was that. And Bobby Bonds, his dad, was a great Major League Baseball player. You knew that he was the best player on there.
Yeah. You think we can get Barry Bonds on here?
No
chance. Huh?
Yeah.
He's kind of an introvert. You know, I heard him do one interview. Yeah.
He's real quiet and he's reserved now because of all the things that went on with Balco.
Yeah. You ever stay in touch with any of those guys from Arizona State?
Yes, very much so. Actually, I'm going out there on November 18th. They're honoring the 1983 Fiesta Bowl team, which I was the co-MVP. I was the defensive MVP for the game. Yeah. And it was against Oklahoma. So I'm going out there. Yeah. And I played with a lot of great players at that time. Gerald Riggs, Robert Weathers, they're all Jerry Bell. We had a lot of really good players. We had 9 guys that went to Super Bowls out of that class that I graduated with.
How did Mac and Linda, how'd they find you?
How did they find me?
Yeah.
There's a guy here that does podcasts in Dallas, and his name is Brady Tinker, and he recommended me to them to do a podcast for him with Byron.
Oh, was you looking into doing podcasting?
Yes, I was.
Wow. I thought Linda just called you 1,000 times.
No.
Emailing people.
No. Brady had recommended me to do a podcast with him.
Man, you know what? I really hold on. Somebody's got a question. Like in our sports, I appreciate everything you've done, man. I mean, coming on every week. Brian's got a question.
Yeah,
6 a.m. to midnight. Coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys live in that place, don't you?
Yeah. You're always trying to find something that's going to help you win the game, and we make it a little bit probably complicated. And then with this analytical stuff, it takes it to a different level. And
would Jimmy Johnson really sleep in the locker room or in the stadium?
No.
Well, he made it look like that. I mean, he says it cost him his first marriage back in 1990.
That's when he was in college, not in the NFL. Not in the NFL, but in college.
See, that's kind of a myth going around, Jim. So really, it's you guys that put the hours in, the assistants, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that's
so they go home at normal hours, the head coaches?
They have banker's hours, the majority. I'm just the assistants that do all the work.
Well, I guess I'm going to jump off here. Thanks again. Hey, you're welcome to come on every Tuesday if you want. I know you're busy, though.
Yeah, I do a lot in my insurance. We got a case where we're doing over 20,000 people. So,
oh man, what type of insurance?
We do health. We have a health division. We have commercials, residential, and we do wealth management. So we do quite a bit. It's called Billis Insurance Group. And I've been in the insurance industry. When I took some time off from coaching, I went into the insurance industry and owned an insurance agency. And these are all my friends from that time.
So you still live out in the Dallas area, Fort Worth?
Yes,
area?
I do. I live in the Dallas. I live in Frisco, where the Star is, where the Cowboys training facility is. I live 10 minutes away.
Oh, okay. Now, so do you still do that talking shop on Wednesdays with Byron?
Yes, we do it at Wednesday at 7 with Byron Williams, who's a former Giant. And it's going to be pretty interesting tomorrow because the Giants and the Cowboys play on Sunday night. So I'm gonna have to make sure he understands the Cowboys are going to win.
Corey had a question for I let you go here. Barry Sanders or Edmund?
Barry Sanders, yes. Barry Sanders. If you play in the NFL, you're on his highlight film. But Edmund has championships, and he's the all-time leading rusher in the NFL. You can say what you want, but he is the all-time. Barry Sanders was a headache to play against because, like I said, you never knew where he was going at or where he was going to end. One of the greatest athletes that ever played the game was Barry Sanders. So you would say Barry Sanders probably was the better athlete, but Emmett was patient. He knew vision, and you can talk about offensive line. Emmett was the all-time leading rusher in Florida.
League history.
Yeah.
Oh, Florida history?
Yeah, he was all-time leading rusher in the state of Florida. So that shows talent. And Barry, don't get me wrong, Barry was an incredible talent, and there's he's a Hall of Famer. And like I said, you had to prepare to play Barry, and if you're not, that's the only highlight film of another player that I'm on is Barry Sanders.
Man.
And everybody in the NFL, if you play in the NFL, and you're a defensive player, you're gonna be on his highlight film.
Wow. So you would take Emmett over Barry?
Yes.
Did you ever get Emmett on your show, by the way?
No, I didn't even ask him. I asked him that.
I thought you was trying to get him on about a year ago.
They had the wrong one. He thought it was Kevin Smith, not Emmett Smith. Kevin Smith was the cornerback. But the best running back and I love Emmett, was Tony Dorsett.
Yeah.
To this day, TD would have won the 100-meter championship in the Olympics if he ever trained for it. He was that good.
I thought it was pretty cool about Byron. He's from Texarkana, right?
Yes, he is.
And he was drafted by the Giants, and you're originally from New Jersey.
Yeah, I grew up 25 minutes away from the Meadowlands, and I'm drafted by the Cowboys.
Do you still go out there any?
Yes, I'm going out there actually Friday. I won't be on the show, Mac and Jack's show on Sunday because I'll be out visiting my parents. My parents still live on the Jersey Shore.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious about that. Do you have a place out there or just got family?
Just family. My parents live in
Texas. Grows on people, don't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. And I have a home obviously here in Texas, but
okay.
My parents, I go visit my parents. They're getting up in age, and I just like to see them.
Hey, that's great. They're still living, man.
Yeah.
Hey, do you ever get those Michael Clark Duncan?
The Green Mile,
Talladega Nights. You got to favor a little bit.
I used to get that
in the airport.
Yeah. He's passed away.
Yeah, he died a few years ago.
Yes, he did, and he was a football player. Did you know that?
No, who did he play for?
One of the he played for either Ole Miss or Mississippi State. I know he played for a school down south in Mississippi.
You know, that movie was filmed here in Nashville.
Oh, really?
And a Green Mile.
I didn't know that.
It was filmed at an old prison here, and I've worked security with some guys. They said he's really cool dude, threw the football with the extras, the little people like me, and he's a nice guy. But I was just thinking, I was preparing for the show. I thought, he looks a lot like Michael Clark Duncan, man.
Oh my goodness!
Don't you put that on. Did you ever watch that movie, Talladega Nights?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
remember he was a cruel chief. Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that on me.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Well, I appreciate it again. I'll see
It's
you
my
next.
pleasure, Robert.
Hey, I'll see you next week sometime. Maybe.
Yes, you will.
Wherever.
Well, we'll get together. I enjoy your show, and like I said, contribute to Robert's show. He does a tremendous job. We even got theme music on our show for him.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. I'm. You know what? I'm trying to get. Did you ever work with Mike Westhoff, special teams?
No. I've been seeing that about his book that's out.
Yeah. I've been reading it, man. It's great. He's got a Jimmy Johnson story in there from the 60s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jimmy and Jerry won a national championship at Arkansas. And the offensive line coach was Barry Switzer.
There's a small world.
Yep.
My dad used to tell me that all the time. It's a fraternity. It's a coaching fraternity.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. But, I'm working on getting Mike on here. Really nice friends with him on Facebook. I bought his book, about 100 pages in. I was just wondering because I figured you knew everybody playing in the league that long.
Yeah. I know of him, but I don't know him personally. I'm a friend of his on Facebook, and I don't know him personally. But there's a lot of guys like that.
Like Al Borges. You ever heard of Al Borges?
Yes, I know who Al Borges is.
Yeah, had him on. He's got a great book. It's going to be out in October about the 2004 Auburn Tigers.
Yeah. And was that with the quarterback?
He coached Jason Campbell.
Yeah, was it Jason Campbell in 2004? Yeah.
Running back was he was really good. That Cadillac Williams and Ronnie Brown.
Yep.
He reminded me, he's like, we thought we were great when how did he put it? When we put 38 on Tennessee, I said, thanks a lot. I remember that. He said, like in Knoxville, we beat them 38-17. Then I knew we had a great team. I said,
oh my goodness.
I said, yeah, man, I know. I get it. The Tiger. Yeah, Pickles remembers.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So have a good one, man. We'll stay in touch here.
All right, Robert. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. See you, buddy. Oh, man. Jim, Jeff, Code, everybody. Wow. Man, he stayed on longer than I thought he was going to stay on. It's so exciting. Let's talk about yesterday's game, okay? Switching gears. The Bills are what I thought they were, okay? If you guys go back and listen to the last week, I think it was on Wednesday. No, it was on Thursday before kickoff. I said, this team's probably going to be the preseason number one. They're going to be the number one team in the regular season. Josh Allen's going to get the MVP. Only team that's going to beat Buffalo's Buffalo. Like Jim said, they hadn't won a Super Bowl. He don't think complacency is going to set in now. A lot of rigid, crazed fan base up there. I can see their heads starting to get big. They got a little injuries. Dane Jackson went out. But they are who I thought they were. They're going to be a great team. They are a great team. They need to work on the running game a little bit. But they have a pass. They have a pass rush. They didn't run Josh Allen too much yesterday. Didn't need to. The game was over with in the third quarter. Like I was talking about with Jim earlier, they were 17. They've outscored the Rams, who won the Super Bowl, and Tennessee Titans, the number one team, 72-17. That's probably the best first start ever. If you look at strength of schedule, margin of victory, they would be the unanimous number one in college football. Now, as far as Tennessee's concerned, okay? As far as Tennessee, Taylor DeWan got injured early. Couldn't get anything going in the running game. Ryan Tannehill's salary, not to beat a dead horse, should come up in discussion. Now, they've got the Raiders this week. Also want to remind you, this team has lost Harold Landry before the season started. They lost Kristen Fulton. probably their lead corner. Janoris Jenkins was like, well, I'd come back for $3.5 million. I thought, yeah, maybe so. They traded away A.J. Brown for a first-round pick. They lost Roger Saffold, their lead blocker in the run game, to free agency. I don't know if any of you caught that on ESPN last night. All these signs, losing Roger Saffold, trading A.J. Green, not wanting to sign A.J. Brown back, They not want to sign. That signifies to me that John Robertson, the general manager of this team, is got a sense that he thinks that Tannehill has taken this team as far as it can go. It is a team game, I understand. So if that is true, and say, for instance, they lose Sunday to the Raiders, do what I say last week. Teams that get humiliated on a primetime game, come back and play like barnstormers the next week. The Dallas Cowboys beat by 16, 3 points at home, humiliated by the Tampa Bay Bucks, came back strong. The Rams, humiliated by the Buffalo Bills. They had a 17, 20-point lead. Now, they blew it at the end, but they still came out like a house of fire with the Atlanta Falcons. The Jets, they got humiliated. Now, for whatever reason, if Tennessee loses again, the trade deadline is November 1st. You have to start looking at things from a realistic perspective. And they cut their Pro Bowl corners. Yeah, now I do like the corner they brought in. I like the style. He seems to have a stronger foot. But Tennessee, if you're John Robertson, you're thinking about the home loss last year. You're thinking about the home loss the year before that in the playoffs to Tannehill. And I'm looking at trading guys like Derrick Henry for a first-round pick to a Philadelphia, to a Miami. I'm looking at trading a guy like a Kevin Byard, who is a $19 million cap hit. This is stuff the Tennessee fans don't want to hear, but I tell you stuff that I think that's true that you need to hear. I'm not a cheerleader, guys. I'm not a public relations person. I'm not a pom-pom waver. That's not what I do. I tell the truth, okay? Sometimes the truth hurts, and people don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear some lies. Hey, let's get it together. No, they don't have a good enough roster. They simply don't. But these are valuable aspects right here. These are valuable pieces. You got a guy like Kevin Byard, $19 million cap hit. You can get a first-round pick for a Derrick Henry. You can get a early second, maybe a late first for Kevin Byard. Taylor Lewan. Now, Taylor Lewan's a left tackle. I just said earlier that you always want to pay a left tackle into their 30s if they're productive, okay? If they are productive, you want to pay a left tackle on into their 30s. Lewan hasn't played 16 games or 17 games since 2017, guys. It's 2022 right now. And according to Pro Football Focus, Taylor Lewan, who makes about $18 million a year, is 28th. He's the 28th best left tackle in football. And you're looking at that. So they've already got a first-round pick. They're probably going to lose, 6, 7, 8 games, maybe 10 games, maybe 11 games. Who knows? The injury bug's really catching up with Tennessee. But say if you traded Taylor Lewan, Derrick Henry, Kevin Byard, you could get potentially 3 seconds or 3 late first-round picks. Byard, you can get a first-round pick as a Pro Bowl level, and you could start over there, try to work on something with Tannehill next year to get his salary off. And if you want to start with Malik Willis next year, or maybe you can put together something and go after this is going to be a more quarterback-friendly draft. The quarterback out of Kentucky looks pretty good. Mel Kiper has him as a pro prospect. Nobody's talking about him. University of Kentucky quarterback. I know that what's his name, Bryce Young out of Alabama, he's probably going to go number one. But there's going to be some other quarterbacks. Do you believe in Malik Willis? I'm not really sure of a Malik Willis. Okay, I'm not really sure of a Malik Willis. But I will say this: that the team is not getting good. They're not getting good push here. Bobby Hart, by the way, he was Bobby Hart, offensive lineman. He swung and hit a coach for the Tennessee Titans, and now he's suspended for a game in the locker room on the way to the locker room. Points differential: Tennessee is minus 35 in the NFL. That they're the last point differential team in the entire league. Buffalo's plus 55. They're number one. So you're looking at all this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, it is something to look at. You know, it is food for thought. You say, well, why November 1st? Because nowadays the trade deadline's a big deal. It's like the NBA now. It's like Major League Baseball. 5-6 years ago, yes, 5 or 6 years ago, the trade deadline in the NFL was nothing like this. You rarely got trades. Now you're getting big trades. You know, it's something that you have to look at, you know. Corey, see, friend of mine here, I agree, while they blow up the team to lose just like a Danny. Yeah, a Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge has got a boatload of draft picks. They're even more valuable in the NFL, Corey. The league is filled with second-round players that are just killing it. Derrick Henry was a second-round player. A.J. Brown was a second-round player. Darrelle Revis. We were talking about Darrelle Revis yesterday's program. He was a second-round player. A lot of really good players. Tennessee Titans had a left tackle, really good player named Michael Ruse. How about that name for you? He was a second-round player. You got to clean up your cap, okay? And if you don't think Malik Willis is the guy, I don't think he's the guy today, September 20th. But what does John Robertson think? What does that organization think? I'm starting to get a little bit of a sense by Mike Vrabel and John Robertson. They're not as tied to the hip as I thought they were originally. I think they butted heads. Now, from everything I read about coaches and general managers over the years, that's like that everywhere. It's like that with all the great coaches and general managers. There's always some kind of friction. There's always some kind of friction with the coach and the quarterback. This is stuff I hear around the league, talking to guys like Jim and hearing stories, being on that program for a number of years, Mac, Jack, and Jim Jeffcoat's show. I did not know that Jim was sold insurance in the area. So he's a pretty busy guy. I thought he just did sign functions and stuff. And I'm glad that he got involved with the fantasy or with the podcasting thing himself. I thought that Linda had chased him down and talked him into it. Very interesting stuff there. So that is stuff that if you do what I'm saying, Tennessee Titans, the rebuild is much quicker, okay? It comes by a lot quicker. These are, again, before all my friends and family from Nashville called me, I said discussion. I didn't say decision. Discussion is, okay, are we going to do this, or are we going to try to fight it and keep going in the other direction, maybe be a buyer in the trade market, okay? Maybe go out and get an Eric Fisher at left tackle if Taylor Lewan's hurt. Maybe go out and get trade for another guard, okay? So those are discussions, okay? I haven't said they need to go ahead and do this. I said that it's mainly food for thought. There's a conversation we had from Mike Vrabel. I knew that there also seemed to be it over the hump. Yeah, and now Vrabel, Brian, he was holding his head in his hands with discuss on draft night when the Titans traded A.J. Brown. I thought maybe he was more in line with John Robertson. So there is some friction there, Brian, between John Robertson and Mike Vrabel. That I did not know. I know that they know each other from their New England days. I know that John Robertson is a local Tennessee guy, and he has his heart and soul is into this, but I also know that Mike Vrabel has turned out to be a motivator. He has got this team playing at a high level of confidence since he's been here. First time in several years, several years, maybe since they've been the Tennessee Titans. I want to say that they've won the division 2 years in a row. He helped them beat foes like Baltimore that had their Tennessee's number for a number of years, the Patriots who had their number for a number of years, the San Diego, then LA Chargers. He beat all those teams. He slayed a lot of dragons. My thing is that John Robertson has missed on trades like Julio Jones. It didn't work out. You give up a second-round pick for a guy he's a very high $15 million kit, and he was a guy that's hurt all the time. He was past his prime. He missed on a left tackle out of Georgia a few years ago. He drafted Corey Davis at number 6 instead of a Jamal Adams, the safety who was on the board. So he's missed. But he's also got a Mike Vrabel, and he also drafted a Jeffrey Simmons, got a steal. He got a top 5 pick at the end of the first round because he tore his ACL in training for the combine, Jeffrey Simmons. So nobody bats 1,000. Nobody bats 1,000, but he has done pretty well. But my point is there is some friction there, and they got to get on the same page. They got to have this discussion. If the Titans lose Sunday, it shouldn't be on Vrabel. Okay, it's a player thing. The Titans are like 27th in offensive line ranking, and that was coming into the season. That is not good. Taylor Lewan's 28th according to Pro Football Focus. So I just it's food for thought. And my thing is, I think that they have been moving slowly towards this. Now they might want to accelerate it. Okay, you might want to accelerate it. Get the draft picks in, clean your cap up, and start over. Be back on top in no time. Yeah. And Brian, here's my thing. Tannehill, when he was getting paid $7 million towards the salary cap, this team got to the AFC Championship game. When he's being paid 15, 20, 30, now $36 million towards the salary cap, you have to let guys like Roger Saffold go. You have to trade your young wide receiver. That was okay with trading Brown, but Saffold was huge. The more I study this game and get into the analytics, and it just killed me to hear that last night, to see Buffalo, the commentators say, well, they wanted to keep Saffold, but he was a cap. Well, hey, this guy's one of the best running blockers in the league. He's worth $10 million, okay? All right. Staying in the same division. Wow, guys, you know what? I've got some stuff I'm just going to have to get to tomorrow. Jim went over longer than I thought he would be. He said 15, 20 minutes. We went 30. He's great. Man, he is awesome. Jacksonville, they may win this division. They're in first place. I want to remind you guys, the Jaguars last year held the Buffalo Bills. This Buffalo Bills team that blown out Miami last year, 35-0. And I think they'll beat Miami this year. I know what Jim said, but I think they're going to beat Miami Sunday. They held them to 6 points last year. The Jags won 24-0. They've won 8 straight home games against the Colts. And, they're a couple drop passes away from being 2-0 in the and having commanding the lead there in the AFC South. Mind you, this team has had the number 1 pick 2 years in a row. Their defense was coming together last year. Got a few issues at cornerback, but it looks great. What I say yesterday, it looks great when you have a good pass rush. Your secondary, I was always told that. I thought it was overstated. But your secondary looks great when you have a pass rush like that. Okay? But they need a little help at corner. But you've got Doug Peterson in there. You got a Super Bowl winning head coach. You've got a 2-time national championship quarterback he's been playing since his freshman year. I want to say he's been to 3 playoff games, 2 national championship games, Trevor Lawrence, and getting better by the week. Lawrence is getting better, more confident by the week. They don't have the best offensive line in the world, but you look at that pass rush between the other Josh Allen, and you look at Walker there, their first-round pick, okay, and you look at the players that they've already had there in Jacksonville and what they did last year. ETN, okay, Christian Kirk, guy they got over from the Arizona, Brandon Ingram. All this is starting to come together for Jacksonville. You could have a Super Bowl team there. Maybe not this year. Maybe not this year. And they very well may win this division this year. But you may have something special there in Jacksonville. It's early. I get it. But this team looks confident. Their players always look to be open. They're schemed very well on offense. And their pass rushers are always in the backfield. What did I say at the beginning of this? I said that teams sometimes, now actually I'll take that back. I said this on the Mac and Jack and Jim show. Sometimes teams are a year ahead. The 49ers, the year they went to the Super Bowl, they go on like a 7-8 game winning streak to start this. I said, I think this team is a year ahead. I think they're a year ahead. I like this Nick Bosa guy. I like this pass rush. I like this running game they got going here. This Jimmy Garoppolo guy, he's making the right pass at the right time. Not saying Jacksonville is there, but I'm saying that they may be better than 6-11. They may be 11-6 and the division winner this year. And I'm out of Nashville. The Titans fans do not want to hear that, but I'm just calling balls and strikes, okay? It's early. It's only 2 games in. Everything I said about Tennessee may very well be me overstating things, or maybe they should go ahead and sell now and get some first-round picks and get ahead and start to rebuild a lot sooner. And so you can catch back up, because it looks like, now it's only 2 games in. Remember, Houston went up to Denver and played with them for 4 quarters, okay? Davis Mills, as of the 20th of September, today, looks more and more like the starting quarterback that's going to be the franchise guy for Houston. It's still early. Let's see how well they played throughout. Their defense is better. Lovie Smith is doing a good job so far. It's early. They found a running back, and this guy Pierce. I never heard of this guy Pierce, and I like. I think his name is Singletary, the cornerback they got at LSU. Brandon Cooks has turned out to be a decent wide receiver for them. It's Davis Mills. Yeah. Pickle says he's playing well. Peterson's cleaned up Lawrence. Passing timing. Yeah, you get rid of the ball quick. Yeah, and we talked about Lovie Smith on the Mac, Jack, and Jim Jeff Coach show on Sunday. And he says he's a good coach. And I said, well, when you take a guy like Rex Ryan to the Super Bowl, Rex Grossman. I'm thinking about Jet coaches here. Rex Grossman, a guy who's a turnover machine, who is up and down his whole career. You get a guy like that to the Super Bowl on defense, hey, you did something. He was not a good college coach. He was dreadful at Illinois as a college coach. But as a pro coach, the defense was consistent. They played pretty well at times last year when he was a coordinator. Remember, David Culley was a head coach there. So Tennessee, today they're in last place. They could be in last place at the end. Now, my thing is, hey, I'd rather lose them all and get a better draft pick. I don't like to be mediocre. We talk about this in basketball. You don't want to be 8-8. If you're trying to rebuild, just go ahead and stomach it and move on. Play as many young players as you can. I guess that would technically be called tanking. But, you look at a team like Philadelphia, and they're 2-0. Defensive secondary with James Bradbury, Darius Slay, as advertised so far this season. Howie Roseman, 2 years ago, pulled off a magnificent trade for Darius Slay. Took a 3rd and a 5th round pick and got a lockdown corner like that. You know, team has a number of offensive yards. They're the number 1 team in the league, offensive yards. Still not in love with Hurts. I know what Jim said, but he is 9th in QBR. You can protect a mediocre quarterback with number 1 offensive line in the NFL. They went and got excellent tight end with Goldert. You got Smith there, Devontae Smith, and you got AJ Brown there. According to Pro Football Focus, again, number 1 offensive line. You got one of the best 1-2 cornerbacks in the NFL. Had a decent pass rush. That's why they're 2-0. They're physical. Howie Roseman, kudos to him. Kudos to him for getting everybody set together. Now, getting this team together. He's made some bad plays there. I think there was a guy named Jalen Rager. He missed on a wide receiver a few years ago, but it looks like he's hit here. I like what they did in the draft, and it's starting to show up. It's really starting to show up now. They haven't gotten a division play. Washington's better than people thought they were going to be. New York Giants, probably a little fool's gold there. I know that Leonard Williams is hurt, their defensive tackle. And Dallas may have the best defense all around in the division. They definitely got the best player, Micah Parsons. But Howie Roseman, that tells you what a good general manager can do. That tells you what so when your team is bad, don't boo the players. Boo the guys upstairs. Boo the guy in the suit like me. You know? So anyways, that's all I have for tonight. Speaking of Philadelphia, folks, I'm going to have Philadelphia superfan in tomorrow. He's going to be at a bar, but he says I'm going to be able to hear him. Jamie Paggs. He's the Philly sports guy. This guy puts on face paint. He reminds me of a character named David Puddy off the show Seinfeld. They used to dress up in the Seinfeld show. He was Elaine's boyfriend. He was a big New Jersey Devils fan. And I'm going to ask him about his brand, building his brand as a super fan of Philadelphia sports. He knows anything and everything about it. Very funny. He's got a very good sense of humor. He knows this Eagles team forwards, backwards, and sideways. And I'm going to question him on it and see where he goes with this tomorrow around 8:15 Eastern time. So stand by. We're going to have a great show on this week here on Sports Scope. And of course, we're going to have Carlos Jack Hurts. Supposedly, he's going to be back Thursday. I'll go over some of my biggest takes in the week, and I'll compare him with sports enthusiast and Hall of Fame boxing writer Jack Hurts, guys. Great show here. Good audience tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time, here on Sports Scope. Brian says putty. I'm glad somebody else memorized it. Guy's a trip.